So I'm gonna be quiet.
No, you're not. So we understand there's some serious topic there. So now I have the question for you guys about, first of all, I have to admit I love the meet cute. The car accident that the very minor car accident that they get into.
It's somebody else's car. You got to say that part.
Right. Okay, so she is driving her best friend's fiance's car, truck, and she stops and another car bumps the back of the truck. And it is Josh, but we don't know that this is our guy right off the bat. He bumps into the back of her car, even though it's told in his POV.
Right.
The accident is told in his POV. He bumps the back of the car. They get out. He's super duper nice. She's obviously upset and frantic because she has spilled coffee in this truck, and he ends up looking at her bottom, and she notices and asks for his assistance. He gives her his shirt, thinking that she'll clean up the car with it and then leave it on his truck when he gets out of the grocery store. He returns, and she's gone, and his favorite T-shirt is gone. And then flash forward, he shows up at the firehouse, ready to make breakfast, and who is sitting there but the girl whose truck he bumped, and he realizes she was driving his best friend's brand new truck, and he needles her about it, which I think is one of the funniest scenes because they have this back and forth conversation that nobody else is really aware of. And I absolutely love that. So I'm curious, what did you guys, well, first of all, this is total the banter, but what did you think of the meet cute and the subsequent meet cute?
I'm going to let Lisa take that one.
I actually enjoyed the whole, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay. I actually enjoyed the entire sequence. It was funny from beginning to end where she caused the accident, but she blamed him.
Yes.
You stopped in front of this man like he's supposed to know you're going to stop because you spilled coffee in your truck that he didn't know anything about.
Yeah.
He gave him the business. And I was like, oh, my God, what's wrong with this girl? I felt bad for poor Josh. And then she stole his T-shirt. The man come up looking for his shirt. He like, what in the world? He should have known then it was going to be a hard road with this one.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. I love that.
It's a whole piece of work.
Okay, so Michelle, can I go back before that? So, so before the meet cute, okay, so this is one of the few romances where you actually meet the hero first, okay? So we meet Josh first, and Josh is, at the red light, reading the text, and text becomes significant in this story, right? Where people are getting the characters are getting significant information via text. So that's a whole new, 21st century thing we'll have to talk about. But so Josh gets a text from his ex-girlfriend Celeste, and it says, "I'm not giving you a damn dime, Josh. Go screw yourself." So I'm going to just tell you, when I read that scene where we learn that, okay, Josh has given up a lot more than a few dimes, right? We know he has given up a lot in this relationship with Celeste.
Yes.
So for him, this is what made the meet cute even more significant for me. So you just got this test from no good, raggedy behind Celeste, who not giving you a damn dime and told you to go screw yourself. And then this crazy woman in front of you slam on her brakes and you bump her car, yet Josh get out the car and he's not tripping. Now, I'm telling you, I have been through a breakup, and anybody in the vicinity, once I've been through a breakup, I'm raining down fire. Like, all y'all better back up because I'm in a bad way, and anybody close to me is going to experience this, okay? And I love that Josh did not unleash that on Kristen, because he could have, because she was, like Lisa said, she was giving him the business. I'm like stomping my hand, like pounding my hand in my fist in my hand, because she was reading him the riot act. And he was like, oh my gosh, she is so cute. And look at her booty. And I love that about him, that
Yeah, unapologetic about
He
staring
was a
at
good
her.
guy.
Unapologetic.
Yeah, and she called him on
and
it.
one more thing about Josh, he's the one that broke up with Celeste. So he was really unbothered. He didn't have anything to do with it. He was like, oh, she ain't giving me a dime, whatever.
Yeah.
He broke up with Celeste.
You know what? That did catch me about it. The fact that he's the one that breaks up with her because he admits that he changed the rules about the relationship. So he lets her have all this stuff, and I mean, this is a guy who is primed to be bitter. And he so is not. Yeah, I thought that was very cool about it. I feel like we're gushing on Josh, but he deserves the gushing.
He does.
Because I mean, this is the guy who is not afraid to go buy tampons and pads. And, you know, I was like, this guy, I'm like, who are you? And where do you find this Josh guy? Yeah,
I know.
The epitome of good guy, point where you're almost worried that he's going to get rolled over.
And then he's gorgeous on top of that.
Yes.
Oh, my God. Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
He's got dimples.
I know. And they're so offensive because he's so handsome.
Did you guys
why do you have to have dimples, too?
Like, was there anybody that you had in mind when you were thinking about him? Like, who would you have cast as Josh?
You know the guy on Sex in the City that Samantha was seeing? The young Smith Jarrett.
Yeah, the model.
Him. When he was young.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so I have to admit, my first thought was because he has dark hair, and I think he might have played a firefighter. You remember Eddie Cibrian?
Oh.
You remember him?
And he got dimples. And he has dimples. Ooh.
Yes. He's totally the guy. I was kind of see Eddie Cibrian as Josh, you know, really cute, dark hair, total dimples, gorgeous smile. Almost too attractive to even, attractive enough to know he's attractive. That guy. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Totally. She had me at dimples.
What about
but I have to admit that, who do you think? Did you think of anyone?
You know what? No one really came to mind, but I can tell you, because y'all know I'm old, right? So one of the characters that I like one of my... But you know what? One of my favorite characters, even though he's like a low-down, dirty scoundrel in this movie.
Javier.
No. Okay, so not funny. Okay, so do you all remember J.D.'s character in Thelma and Louise, played by Brad Pitt? Like like he's this pretty boy wanderer. Like he's a hobo. Okay, I'll just say it. He's a hobo. But he was just like, when he's sitting there outside that gas station with that cowboy hat on, he's like, yes, ma'am. Like, he's just so good. I was like, oh, my gosh, he looked like trouble. Looked like he'd probably steal your money and your draws. But I really, really like that character.
I'm about to lose my romance card for this, but I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to admit it, because I usually smile pretty when people bring it up. I have never, ever seen the full-on Thelma and Louise. I think I fell asleep after 20 minutes, and I never went back to find out what happened at the end.
Oh, wow.
What's wrong with you?
You have got to go back and watch
I don't tell people that have never seen it. And
as you should.
Like the Princess Bride. I know. It gets you put out of romance.
Oh, my goodness.
I know.
We're going to have to talk about your
okay,
position on the show. We need to talk about your longevity on the show.
Earth shaking and shattering. Okay, well, as long as you're there, I'll just admit I don't like The Princess Bride. I just never fell in love with it like everybody else, and I admit it. There. You'll have to steal my romance card. It's lost.
Okay,
so I have a more serious
you are not
question.
alone on that one.
We talked about our love for Josh, and I'm going to fully admit that I don't think, like, I feel like Josh knew what he was doing. Like, he was trying to entice her. I thought it was hilarious, the fact that she's trying to make herself ugly. Like, the day that he shows up and she got a green mud mask and a pink fluffy robe, and she out in the street, and the neighbors are looking at her like, what the hell is going on with you? And
girl, when she added the hair rollers.
Yes, she's like, I'm gonna have to add hair rollers to this,
baby.
And I thought it was
hollered.
interesting. She's going through all these machinations because she doesn't want to fall for him, and I'm thinking, you're making yourself ugly so that you don't fall for him. And I thought that was interesting. That was very Kristen logic.
Yes.
Because she doesn't want to fall for him, so she makes herself ugly. And I'm like,
guys like regular girls.
Yeah.
Right. She's so silly. Guys love a girl who doesn't care. That's kind of really okay with herself.
Right.
Yeah.
And she was acting like she didn't care about him, which made him want her more.
He was already in on day one.
That is true.
Right.
That is true. He was quite smitten when he got to the firehouse, and he was like, "Oh, it's the little one with the nice buttocks." So, yeah.
She should have known that was her guy anyway. She should have known that was going to be her guy because her dog liked him. Stuntman Mike went straight to him.
My
and
God.
He didn't like nobody.
I know.
That was going to be
Mike.
one of my questions about who was your favorite side character, and I admit it was Stuntman Mike.
Stuntman Mike, of course.
For me.
I know. A teacup dog with an attitude.
They always have attitude, though. They think they're 10 feet tall. Yeah. Big attitude.
Yeah. And I love that.
Like, wait, don't touch him. He bites.
Yes.
And he just scooped the dog up. He's like, okay.
Mm-hmm. He's just charming. That Josh, just charming everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And was good at everything. Woodworking.
Yeah.
He was an EMT. Like, dude is a real life hero that can work with his hands.
Man down on lock.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
so Michelle, can we talk about the boyfriend? I don't know if you had any questions about that.
Bring that up.
Okay.
I'm just about to bring that up. I was just about to say that we have Tyler, this boyfriend, this overseas boyfriend, and I have to admit that the way she described him, I was kind of, once again, conflicted about how I felt about this character because he's described as being like, oh, this guy who's been away that she hasn't seen very often, but she does really care about him, but he's totally okay with her not wanting to have kids because he doesn't want to have any. And so there's like all of these questions where I think I disliked him before we met him. And so I am curious, what did you guys think about Tyler before you met him and after? Because for me I wasn't sure I liked him, but then when you met him, I was like, okay, this guy is kind of sweet. I wasn't sure what to think of him. Go for it. I want to hear what you guys think about Tyler.
Okay, Lisa, you want to start or you want me to start?
I'll start because I couldn't stand Tyler. He got on my nerves. He was the epitome of what her mother wanted for her. Uh-huh. And he was putting on a front. He was putting on a front. That guy did not want her like that. He didn't even know her really. He was deployed most of the whole relationship. It was just a dream. You know, he was so bougie and he didn't let her be herself.
Okay.
Any man that won't allow you to be yourself and pushes you in these fancy restaurants where she was uncomfortable and she would have lived a life just like her mother wanted her to, and she would have been miserable.
Okay.
I just couldn't stand him.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So, here we go. Let me back up. So,
Lord, I'm scared.
So, okay. So, I'm going to speak to Todd a little bit differently because he's a military man. Okay. So, he's active duty military. Mm-hmm. And he and Kristen have been dating for some years, and the whole relationship has been long distance. So, yeah, the entire relationship. That's a long time, right? Especially to be at the juncture where these two characters are, where they're talking about doing something more permanent. So I'll just say this as a woman who served in the military, who's married to a military man. If one of the tenets of this relationship working is that the active duty person has to give up their career this relationship was doomed to fail. Okay, so I didn't feel like